Hello. Welcome in. It's the PHNX Cardinals podcast, your premier Arizona Cardinal podcast. Like and subscribe. Leave us a 5-star wherever you get your podcast. Become a diehard. Go PHNX.com. Pick up a free hat and or t-shirt every time you sign up for every single year. Your boys are back. Damon Dog, Bo Brack, and Johnny Venerable. Are your draft picks in trouble? We're going to talk about that and more as my co-host to my right posted on Twitter earlier today. Oh, the odds of one J.J. McCarthy going 4th overall are rising up.
That's right. They're on the rise. Another day here in the desert. Another day we're just holding on to the chances that the Arizona Cardinals could draft good old Marvin Harrison Jr., 4th overall in the 2024 NFL draft. Now 37 days away. We're holding on to hope, right? And like I said, it's the Matrix. We're Neo, and we're just fending off every single person trying to get up the draft board, every quarterback needy team, every team that's coveting our sweet baby Marvin Harrison Jr. Chargers. Hands off until a move is officially made. But let's break down what a move would absolutely have to look like. Now, Daniel Jeremiah talked about what he thinks it's going to look like, and we'll get into that. And also we'll get into the Arizona Cardinals beefing up their offensive line a little bit more today. But the draft talk continues. That's what this episode is titled. It's Draft Talk. So we're going to continue it.
We're going to talk draft. So what my co-host is alluding to, and what's up, everybody in the chat, already 160 of you like this video. Let's get this to 500. We almost got to 500 yesterday. Let's do it today. Do it for Damon Dog. He's back behind the mic today. You love to see it. Yeah. What you don't love to see is this show being lowballed by one Daniel Jeremiah, previous friend of the program. I don't think we can call him a friend anymore after the hot garbage that was spewed on this fan base this morning. Now, we knew that with all this chatter of the Vikings coming up with the Arizona Cardinals, that there were going to be some dumb mocks as a result. A lot of, I would say, uneducated mocks. This is an uneducated mock from Daniel Jeremiah in terms of not necessarily the prospects, but the capital given. But before we get into that proposal, the faux proposal from Minnesota, Bo, you alluded to it. We have to go back, turn the clocks back a year, when the Arizona Cardinals traded down from 3 to 12. Very similar to 4 to 11. Funny how that works. Here is what they got circa 2023 last year for a outside linebacker pass rusher, not a quarterback. That includes a quarterback tax, a pass rusher, albeit Will Anderson Jr. How many ones did they get, Bo?
That's right. They got almost 3, right? They did the pick swap from 12 to 3. They did the 33rd overall pick with last year's draft was the first pick of the second round. So knocking on the door to be a first rounder. And then they got this year's 27th overall pick that continues to break my heart every time I see how far that pick dropped down the draft board. But still, regardless, remains a first round pick. And also, a 2024 third round pick. So at the end of the day, Cardinals got the 12th pick, the 33rd overall pick, the 27th overall pick in 2024, and the 90th overall pick in 2024. And the Texans received the 3rd overall selection and the 105th overall selection that they traded to Philly, ended up taking Keely Ringo.
Also, the Cardinals had an assumption. It was incorrect, like the rest of us, that the Texans weren't going to be very good. They hadn't been good. They wouldn't be very good. They were good. That is a factor that you have to include, because are you doing this deal with a team that's going to, pop off and damn near make the conference championship? I don't know if you do. But at the time of the trade, Monty Ossenfort said, I will give you pick 3 for what equates, as my co-host said, to basically 3 first-round picks. One of which in 2024, that was projected to be a top 10 pick. It had the second best odds in the NFL to be the second or first pick in the draft this past year. Now, it didn't work out that way, but it's no one's fault other than CJ Stroud and Will Anderson Jr. and company. Congratulations, Houston Texans. But that's the barometer. That's the bare minimum. We saw Monty Ossenfort cook on flight plan last year, fielding off shit offers left and right. That's not good enough. No thanks. Right. Take a walk. So we bring that up because, again, factoring almost the identical trade down scenario, 3 to 12, 4 to 11. right? About the same thing. But this time, the Minnesota Vikings would be coming up for their franchise quarterback. And we remember last year, the Chicago Bears, they got multiple first-round picks and DJ Moore. That was for the first overall pick. We get that. However, the bare minimum price for the fourth overall pick needs to be 11, 23, and a 2025 first-round pick. Now, Bo Brock, is that what Daniel Jeremiah proposed on his podcast, Moving the Sticks?
No, not even the slightest. He actually, this is what DJ had. This is his projected trade. And with all due respect, this is Daniel Jeremiah's projected trade that the Cardinals receive 11 and 23. They trade away the fourth overall pick and one of their 3 third rounders and one of their 5th rounders, 90th and 138th overall. If this is the deal, count me all the way out.
Fire everyone.
This is not. Monty Ossenfort doesn't even have Michael Bidwell in the war room turn down the television when he receives this call in this package. He's just like, I'm moving on. We're selecting Marv. Enjoy your 2 first-round selections. Maybe you can get up to 5 if Ortiz and the LA Chargers and Harbaugh are willing to even take your call at this point.
I'm physically ill looking at that. It's that meme from or that gif from Indiana Jones when they're, they're at the Well of Souls and that guy's face, Toad's face gets melted off. That's me looking at this trade proposal.
Even
not only
McCarthy can't look at his face in this graphic. He's just like, are you kidding me? He's got a very punchable Chad Brad face going on right here.
And like the Cardinals were in a position last year where they made it clear to everybody they wanted to trade down.
Yes.
We left the combine in Indianapolis and they had a for sale sign on pick 3. It was clear. And Ossenfort minded his P's and Q's and waited till the very last minute and got the best possible package, a package that you and I didn't think that was possible for a non-quarterback, certainly. So he wrung out that cloth until the very last drop. That is not this. I don't know what this is. What this is not only are you passing on a Hall of Fame caliber receiver to do this mock draft trade, and by the way, Viking fans are loving this. They're like, oh yeah, the chart says it's good. We're good. Sign me up. 11 and 23. That's why they did it. Print the draft ticket now. No, hell no. We're not doing that. Get that trash out of here. There's a quarterback tax. No, there was no quarterback tax. There was nothing. It was tax-free. It's like you're living in the state of Texas or Florida, paying no taxes here. This is the equivalent of living in California beachfront property taxes. Minnesota Vikings. That's this quarterback tax right now. 30%, 40% the markup. We're coming for that ass. I could not believe when I saw this morning. Vikings fans were tagging me. Let's make a deal. Let's do this. If Monty Ossenfort makes that deal, I lose unequivocally all hope for him to be a competent general manager. And there's no way he would make that deal, by the way.
No, he's not. I mean, that's got to be the trade chart deal, right? That's what
they were referencing it. Absolutely, it was.
Right. And like you can start there, but you got to build on top of it. I mean, and also considering, what happened last year, and you're always trying to beat the chart. And Monty Ossenfort's going to try to beat the chart like he did last year with his deal with Houston.
Yeah.
And when you kind of start to look at it, I know it's not all, even here, but when you look at, 4 is to 3 because you're in a position to get, if you want to get up to get a quarterback, that's going to be the next best position, like 3 was last year. And then you've got, 11 and 12. And sure, it's like it's 1 pick difference, but you're still knocking on the door of the top 10, and you're still just about in the same general vicinity of picks away from getting to where you want to get that quarterback. And then you start to look at, okay, this is where the Vikings get a little bit more value. Instead of 33rd overall, they've got the 23rd overall pick. So, but I mean, it's still because of the quarterback tax and because of the situation that they've put themselves in, the Arizona Cardinals, they've got blood in the water, and it makes no sense to not take a deal that makes the most sense to them, to pass up on a generational type talent like Marvin Harrison Jr. that's going to nearly guaranteed to fall in their lap, and for them to not try to completely come out way up and above and beyond the trade chart would be irresponsible.
It is, and it undercuts everything the Cardinals and frankly the fan base and this show has struggled to get through, and that was a rebuilding season. Like, imagine going through what this fan base did last year, which some ups and downs. That's a 4-win team last year in every sense. Like, and you're coming out with 11-23 and then having to give picks. That's a slap in the face to this fan base. Dylan Walls, Daniel Jeremiah has a relationship with the Vikings. Bet they want him to put this out there as a starting point. Wouldn't discount that. Doing this without calling and hearing Monty dial tone with that horse crap offer, they wouldn't even entertain it. And part of me thinks that the Vikings know what the Cardinals would need. And that's part of the reason why they went up and got 23. We covered it on yesterday's show. It's like the Vikings don't move up without the intent to make a deal with either the Patriots, the Cardinals, or maybe the Chargers, although I'm not convinced that's happening at all. Jalen Blair, $10 super chat, friend of the program. Thank you so much, Jalen, for the support. I'm surprised at Daniel Jeremiah. He's one that said if you move up for a QB, you have to give 125% of the pick value of 100. Absolutely. In that case, number 4 is worth 11, 23, a 2025 first, and Arizona sends back 4 and 90 to get it done. I don't even like sending back a third, but that's the baseline, Jalen. Like, you have to get both ones this year and the one next year. And I like pick 90, like maybe 105. You want to give them a fourth. But again, Cardinal fans, any deal that includes you passing on Marvin Harrison Jr. better not include you also giving them picks. I don't want any part of that.
Mm-hmm. And they floated a later pick last year, which we didn't really miss because you're sitting there with a pair of day 2 picks on top of the extra first that you acquired from Houston. I was talking to my buddy Ben about it, and he's a huge Cardinals fan. And not only like he's got his hesitations, how often have we heard like, oh, this gives me big time Terrell Suggs vibes. This gives me, and I feel that like this is a fan base that has been hurt before. Like I feel you, and to go Robin Williams and Goodwill Hunting, it's not your fault. You want me to say it again, Johnny? It's not your fault.
Yeah, tell me again. Look into the camera and say
it. Not you, man. It's not your fault. Look,
I'll be Matt Damon.
Because when the Minnesota Vikings have a pretty rock solid infrastructure, and it's a little bit more apparent than it was last year with the Houston Texans. Like, you are looking at this 2025 first to where more likely than not, it's going to be at the back half of the first round. So like you're not trading up with a first round pick that has the potential to land in the top 10 like you did last year.
This isn't the Panthers. You're not getting the Panthers one.
No. You're getting you're a team that feels like it's a quarterback away. Yeah. And that's no secret to anybody. And I know you can have your reservations about the prospect, and that's still up for debate. Watch Pat McAfee; they're convinced it's Drake May, and then you look at the whole contingent from the Minnesota Vikings set to go to the Michigan Pro Day with JJ McCarthy. They're doing their homework, and regardless of which one it is, they want to get up and get a quarterback. And the easiest way to do that is to get into the top 3. But the Patriots open for business, and if they're not, the next best option is 4th with the Cardinals.
And that's the only option, I think. Yeah. I like the Chargers, unless you're willing to wait till you're on the clock, and who knows, maybe they are. You make a pre-draft trade with the Chargers, you're signing your death wish. You can't confidently go to your owner and your fan base and say, we're good, we got pick 5. What happens if the Giants say, you know what, we're going to kick Arizona a couple draft picks and we'll move up to 4? The Giants presumably love JJ McCarthy as well. Private visits, whining and dining. He's making the rounds right now. I'm going to tell you else something. Like, does anybody know what the Vikings record was last year? It wasn't 4-13. It was 7-10 with Josh Dobbs. It was 7-10 without Justin Jefferson and Kirk Cousins. Hawkinson went on injured reserve. It's a very competent organization with the number 1 or 2 graded NFLPA grade. Kevin O'Connell's a really good head coach, went to the playoffs 2 years ago. I mean, Minnesota's a playoff team had Kirk Cousins not gotten injured. Jordan Addison's in their second year. I love Brian Flores. He's their defensive coordinator. The floor for them is 7 wins next year, even with JJ McCarthy. Like that's scary if you're Austin Ford, because you're just succumbing to, oh yeah, we're going to get another pick in the 20s. And guess what? The 2025 draft, the equivalent of the picks in the 20s is not this year. No chance in hell. So that's why, like, any scenario in which you're getting both ones this year has to include the one next year. And also you have to keep your picks. And again, Cardinal fans, Bo, even though like that's what the skeptics or the trade chart would say on top of the quarterback tax, I do not get the sense at all Cardinal fans want to go 11-23 in a 2025 first rounder from Minnesota in exchange for the right to draft Marvin Harrison Jr. Like Cardinal fans, I would say the large majority would say, no, I don't want that,
Yeah.
which is, I mean, it's understandable.
Now they did see the picks that DJ did make on behalf of the Cardinals, and
Yeah, I think that's so secondary, though, don't you?
No, it is. But I did start to see some people when they looked at the haul and they saw somebody like Daniel Jeremiah put it out there. Is this it right here? Yeah, Daniel Jeremiah's mock 3.0, taking Jared Verse, the Florida State edge, 11th overall, Brian Thomas Jr. And I think that was the key to this first round mock draft for Daniel Jeremiah that maybe kind of swayed some of the Cardinals fans out there. Like, hey, there could be a first round draft that I like beyond selecting Marvin Harrison Jr. 4th overall, because it's got Brian Thomas Jr. 23rd overall, and then Byron Murphy Jr. somehow still on the board at 27th overall. I mean, the Cardinals haven't added to the outside linebacker room this entire offseason. You could get a top prospect in Verse from the Seminoles. You get to really upgrade your wide receiver room with another big, tall, 6'3", almost 6'4" playmaking wideout from the SEC, and then Byron Murphy, who's in the conversation for the top defensive lineman in this draft, along with Johnny Newton. I mean, that's the kind of haul that could keep the Arizona Cardinals fans back on board with Monty Ossenfort if he did pull off a trade. And I'm not saying the trade that DJ projected in today's mock.
Yeah, this is just like hocus pocus garbage to me, because like Jared Verse at 11 is vomit inducing. I love Jared Verse as a prospect, not at 11. And I also think like anybody who thinks Brian Thomas Jr. is making it to 23, get help. In a world where who was that receiver from Arkansas a couple of years ago that we thought was Treylon Burks can't get to 20. Brian Thomas Jr. is going to get to 23, and Byron Murphy, the first defensive tackle, is going to go at 27. Did he put that out there so people would be more forgiving of his trade package? It's not realistic. I'm going to tell you right now, like, you could get Byron Murphy at 11 and Jared Verse at 23, and then you're just kind of scrounging around for Troy Franklin's of the world at 27. Like, I think the Cardinal fans' biggest concern with this, where's the receiver coming from? And like, here's what you should feel good about if you're hoping that they don't make this trade. They have not done anything in free agency to support the potential trade down and to basically submit to the fact they're not taking Marvin Harrison Jr. Mm-hmm. They've added offensive linemen, defensive linemen, corners, linebackers. They added a running back. They added a backup quarterback. They added it damn near everything. They signed a wide receiver that's going to play special teams, not somebody who's going to crack the rotation. They didn't get Greg Dortch a long-term deal. Michael Wilson's got injury concerns. I think their actions right now would still support the narrative that they're going to stick and pick at number 4. Now that could change, but like, you're trading down, you're leaving it up to chance. I'm sorry, you just are. You are punting on the notion, in my opinion, if you go from 4 to 11, that you're not going to be in the big dog sweepstakes with one of the top 3 receivers, right? And we already know they like some of these second-tier offensive linemen. So I have immense trust in Ossenfort that he could find another Michael Wilson-esque type of player. But the Cardinals need more than that with an early pick this year. Michael Wilson was projected on a rebuilding team last year. He dominated in training camp. He exceeded expectations. You need something as close to a sure thing in this receiving corps, because we're watching the Cardinals make moves this offseason, and it's a team that's loading up on depth to be able to have a lengthy run to the playoffs, trying to get to 8, 9, 10 wins this year. But you can't do that unless you have a true number 1 receiver, in my opinion, or a high-end number 2 as a rookie. And that's where Marvin or Malik Neighbors or Rome Odunze come into play, Bo.
Let's get to this $5 super chat from our guy. Is it Boasty? Bootsy jumping in. Yeah, Boosty. 125% includes the quarterback tax, but not the Marvin tax. Yeah, it's like buying tickets on Ticketmaster.
Yeah.
You see the price and then you go to check out and you've got all these fees on top of it. The Marvin tax is certainly included in that. It's obviously 18%. Of course, his number that he wore at Ohio State. Throwing another second rounder on top of the 3 first.
I don't hate it.
And people were asking me as far as what the rules are as far as trading, because everybody has heard, you can't trade more than 3 first rounders, where it's actually what the deal is with the NFL is you can't trade beyond the next 3 drafts. So you can certainly stockpile more than just 3 picks or 3 first rounders. In this case, with the Minnesota Vikings, let's just tack in a 2026. Let's just throw in 4. You could. You can't trade beyond. You can't get a 27 deal. You pick. That's the only thing that I believe the NFL rules state.
But again, what do we always say on the show? A pick in the future is always worth in real time a round later. So if they're offering you ones in the future years, those are seconds on the trade chart. I'm sorry, especially when you couple a quarterback with that. So it's not really 3 ones. I mean, it's 2 ones this year. But again, let's rejoin reality. This ain't the Bears 2 ones, 1 and 9. This is 11 and 23, right? You'd love to have them. Give them to me. Let's go. But what happens to my sweet baby number 4? It goes elsewhere, which means Marvin Harrison Jr. is not a Cardinal. You have to, with what's at stake and how this decision could haunt this franchise. And you could sense, like, it has gone 0 to 60 in about 3-day span where Cardinal fans, after the Caleb Williams move and the Patriots doubling down on we're going to get a quarterback, it went from excitement, Marvin's coming on board, after that first wave of free agency, to are the Cardinals going to screw this up? You have to be blown away if you're Austin Ford. I don't like this notion that the Cardinals are actively looking to trade down. Like, I don't believe that. I think the Cardinals are taking phone calls like any smart organization would do. But if you're making phone calls trying to deal, that's a mistake. Like, you need the Vikings to feel a sense of urgency that if they don't deal with you and they opt to go with the Chargers, that's a mistake. Yeah. Because the Giants could jump you. You need to manipulate this entire thing to your advantage.
Yeah, and we're going to get a chance to talk to Monty Osfort tomorrow. Him and Jonathan Gannon going to meet with the media tomorrow afternoon. We'll have the quotes from Monty, and as we always expect, I mean, it's probably going to be more primarily on all the players they've brought in through free agency. And yeah, we're going to hound him with a bunch of draft questions. But he'll give us his best, coach speak, front office exec speak, not expecting too much. But we'll hear from Monty for the first time since the combine. And, at the combine, he said, yeah, they hadn't fielded any calls about the 4th overall pick, but he anticipates getting calls on it, and he's going to listen, right? And I think when we talk about this and people say, you guys have been the biggest ones, pushing the Marvin Harrison Jr. propaganda. It's like, absolutely. I will be out there leading the charge, no doubt about it. But
we like good football players.
We do. We love watching electric playmakers that played at an NFL factory in Ohio State, 6'4", and can outleap anybody on the field and high point the football. And his dad happens to have a bust in Canton and a gold jacket. He's one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time.
Are those things good?
Favorite targets? Yeah, absolutely. I think most of those are good. Yeah, he takes doing all the homework out of the equation, and we'd love to see him catch passes and be the next great wide receiver to play here in an Arizona Cardinals uniform 20 years after they selected Larry Fitzgerald. That's so fucking poetic, isn't it? Like, that's unbelievable that could happen. But at the same token, Friday morning, somebody woke us up and said, hey, the Vikings just traded for another first rounder. There's an actual team that has the ammunition enough to get up to 4. That Monty Osfort's going to pick up the phone and say, man, making it tough on me, Quessy. You're making it tough. And it doesn't mean that he's going to pull the trigger on it, but he's got to consider it.
And what you have to weigh, you have to be 100% not convinced that Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to come back and burn you as a Hall of Fame caliber player. If they put, even I know unequivocally Marvin's their number 1 wide receiver. Okay, so let's just put that to bed. But he's either number 1 wide receiver as it relates to this guy's going to make 4 to 5 Pro Bowlers. He's going to be a good player. He's not going to go to the Hall of Fame, right? We remember the sloppy Joe with the Giants a couple of years ago took Saquon Barkley because he said, I have a Hall of Fame grade on him. Like, does Monty Osfort have a Hall of Fame grade on Marvin Harrison Jr.? We do not know that. If he doesn't, and it says this guy's making 4 or 5 Pro Bowls, then you have to be able to convince your scouting department and the rest of your administration, Dave Sears, that with 11, 23, and a 2025 1, you can get 3 Pro Bowlers at those positions. That's the only equal to passing on Marvin Harrison Jr. So step 1, you have to pass on what you think is not a Hall of Fame caliber player. And then at 11, go get an ass kicker, and at 23, get an ass kicker to help you beat the San Francisco 49ers and end their dynasty of the NFC West.
Yeah.
Right? Because this has always been my argument. The fastest way to become relevant in the NFC West, not make a wild card with Cliff Kingsbury and get blown out in LA. I was there. It was miserable, right? And be a soft team, build a sustainable winner with Pro Bowl blue chippers all over your roster. You have to have the picks in the draft and you have to hit on them, right? It's easier said than done. If Austin Ford says, this is a generational class, and I can get somebody that can immediately help us at 11 and 23, and we will develop them under Jonathan Gannon into Pro Bowlers. And by the way, we'll get a first next year. It gives us all different kind of options, just like this year.
Yeah.
Then we can be in a position to overtake Seattle, LA, and the San Francisco 49ers. If that's not your result, you do not trade the pick.
No.
If that's not what you believe, don't trade the pick.
Monty Austin Ford took the 6th overall pick, the 41st overall pick. I think it was 90. What was Garrett Williams, like 92, and then Michael Wilson was 96.
Yeah.
He took those 4, 3 of those outside of the first round and turned them into starters. Now, are they going to
start this year?
Are they going to be Pro Bowlers? No. Like I hear you. Like they need to have a little bit higher ceiling than starting caliber players, especially when
they're second, third, and fourth rounders, basically.
Right. So he's giving me an extreme amount of confidence that if you give him 3 first-round picks, he's such a sicko as far as watching the film and can differentiate between what's going to be a guy that's going to make a down-and-down impact and enough so that's going to reach Pro Bowl status, that I think he could hit with 3 first-rounders, even if they're on the outside of the top 10, a 66% hit rate. I think he'd go 2 for 3 with those guys,
especially in this draft. And I think you're right.
Yeah.
I like this from Catman here. We're going to get to super chats here in a second. Keep them coming. Keep the likes coming. We got 632 of you. Football gods bless you. Like this stream right now so we can get more peeps in here talking Cardinal ball. Catman says Arizona would be better off trading with the Giants. Then you can still get one of the 2 receivers. I agree with that. I think, and we covered this yesterday, Catman, I think you tell the Vikings, you have to blow us away because the Giants ship us your 2nd and 3rd rounder. They did it in the PFF mock draft simulator yesterday. You want your quarterback, we'll punt on Marvin Harrison Jr. We actually really like Malik Neighbors. I don't think that's the case. I don't think they're blown away by that. But they can just tell the Vikings, we're going with the Giants. We got their 2 and 3. So that we got 2 2s, we got 4 3s, we got Malik Neighbors. I think Cardinal fans would unequivocally take that deal over 3 1s and go into 11. Do you agree with that? I think that universally Cardinal fans would take that.
I wish I could, but from what I've seen, just as we've really started these discussions, right, and having these conversations, there are people that are saying, if it's not Marvin Harrison Jr., I'm not going to turn on a Cardinals game the rest of my life. There are those people. They are Marv ride or dies.
Brianne's saying, no, we wouldn't. All right, everybody tell me in the chat right now, would you take the Giants deal over the 3 1s for 11? Either say Giants or Vikings here in the comments. It's going to be Giants.
Because you slide down 2 picks. I understand that, but there is also just a sect of the fan base that are just they love Marv. We're seeing a lot of people jump in. So we're seeing Dede with Vikings and
Giants, G-Men, Vikings, Giants. MHJ is not an answer that we're taking right now. This is not part of the exercise. I get it. That's our preference too. Let's get to some of these super chats. Chris kicking us off, $1.99 super sticker. Thank you so much. And then Chris comes back, $4.99. Totally disagree. Wow, that Marvin Harrison Jr. bow is the way to go. Yeah. We do not have Kime anymore. Let Monty cook.
All right. Wow.
Reasonable take. Very reasonable. I would say you're not wrong for thinking that. Yeah. You're not wrong for thinking that.
Yeah, just load up. And like you've been saying, what the 49ers have done and what John Lynch consistently does outside of, the misfire with trading up for Trey Lance. But more often than not, they're hitting on big time picks. Continuing the super chats here. Our guy Jeff checking in. Thank you for the $4.99 super chat. If we don't get to see MHJ in Arizona, we'll need to see at least 9 wins this season. Yeah, the pressure's on. Like, and we were talking about this. I can't remember if it was yesterday or Friday. Like, if Monty Ossenfort passes on this, what type of pressure does that put on his shoulders immediately? And it puts the pressure of, okay, if team building and it's beyond, you're doing, I know you want to have this egoless type player. And I don't think nothing points to Marvin Harrison Jr. having an ego, but if you want to point to, the sum of the parts, and you have to get the parts in here to take the next step for this team. And 4 wins, obviously, previous season, they kind of got a hall pass for that. But the next season, I think it's got to be more, especially when you're passing on MHJ, than like 6-7 wins. You do have to approach, 500 or better ball.
Because what's the point of trading down if it's not we're adding more talent right now to help us?
Yeah.
Because you have to be able to sit at that presser post draft and say, look, guys, look at the haul we have. 11, 23, 27, and 35 are helping us right now. Those players, as sure as shit, better outweigh Marvin Harrison Jr. year one. If Marvin Harrison Jr. pulls a Will Anderson Jr., and I like the move last year to trade down, goes to the Chargers with Justin Herbert and has 1,500 yards as a rookie, pulls a Puka Nacua, and the Cardinals dick around to 7 wins. I'm telling you, right, it will be unforgivable. People will lose their mind. Even if the Cardinals show progress, what are you pulling out your phone for?
Yeah, it's going to be me. If that happens, I'm going to be calling you every day and say, I can't come into work. I'm sick again. I'm sick every day for the rest of my life. I can't do it.
Yeah.
I can't look into the camera. I can't face you. The food doesn't taste good anymore. I'm
nothing
sick.
That's tastes. I can't look at my family anymore. I cover this team. They're so ashamed of me by association. Aaron, $4.99 super chat. There's just no way that the Cardinals pass on MHJ for nothing less than a generational haul. I agree with you. That should be the mindset. The prospect fatigue on MHJ is real. It absolutely is. And the Charger fans should be the clearest indication that if they get a sniff of blood in the water, that the Cardinals will be dumb enough to pass on Marvin Harrison Jr., of course they're going to take him. This Malik Neighbors, I like Malik Neighbors fine. There's a Malik Neighbors like every other year in a draft. Marvin Harrison Jr. is Calvin Johnson, A.J. Green, Julio Jones, Larry Fitzgerald, Mike Evans every 5 to 7 years. This not Malik Neighbors is great. He's in the same ballpark as like a Garrett Wilson or somebody. Come on with that. The Chargers know Jim Harbaugh is super smart. They would run up to the podium and take him at 5. Malik Neighbors, number 1. Yeah. Come on. What world are we living in? They're 4 inches difference in height.
There's somebody at every party you go to, and they're holding court, and they're saying, I would take Malik Neighbors over Marvin Harrison Jr. He's like, would you? You're just taking a contrarian stance just to stand out.
Never let you handle my money.
No. It's a great point. Shane jumping in. $4.99 super chat. The most mock draft picks ever was 14. The most draft picks ever was 14 in 1997. AZ has 11. I doubt they tie or break that. They have enough picks. You take MHJ, end the story.
I think if you get the 2 ones this year, it's almost a mandate that you package at least one of the 3s to come up for something. I don't think you can afford to stand pat at 11 or 23. If you love Joe Alt, if you love Roma Dunze, although I don't think they do, then you come up and you do a little mini trade up from 11 to 9. Ossenfort did it last year. Same thing with you can go from 23 to 18 and give up pick 60 and go. If Brian Thomas Jr. fell, you could go get him. So I think they're going to, if they get the premium picks, I don't think will be traded. 11, 23, 27, 35 are all going to be made in some way, shape, or form. They're not going to be packaged together, in my opinion. But everything beyond that is fair game to go and get. The draft then becomes, Bo, about those 4 prospects, touting them up. You want to come up from 35 to 32 with the Chiefs and have 4 players on 5th-year options, and it's just you could spin it, assuming you got a receiver, to the fan base hey, guys, I know we passed on Marvin. Look at this haul. These 4 players represent, you could say, 4 pillars. Look at that, standing on a table, trotting up our castle to rebuild this franchise. And you could sell it. Their marketing team could sell it.
Yeah, and I mean, which guy is going to sell the jerseys though? I mean, that's that's where you kind of become a little bit of a hipster football club, where it's just like you got a couple under the radar names. You got guys, you're getting defensive linemen.
I mean, they're first rounders, maybe.
Yeah, for sure. Continue on. Our guy from Quebec jumping in here with $2 super chat. Spending some loonies and toonies. R6.
Lot going on in that avatar.
Yeah. Patamogli. Yeah, I don't know. How do you think I did, Damon? Did I nail that?
I'm gonna give it like a 2.7.
Yeah. Probably the only fan from Quebec. Trust Monty. There you go. I like that. Just take a leap of faith with Monty Ossenfort. I think so far he hasn't given you any reasons to doubt him outside of, the handling of the quarterback situation, the bridge to Kyler Murray last year. I think there was a little misstep there, but other than that, I love what Monty's done.
He's had a great offseason, and there's no reason to believe he won't continue. Danny Redbirds, nice looking avatar here. Big fan of the program. I would assume $4.99. I want every firstborn child in Minnesota if I'm giving up Marv. 3 firsts at least. Agreed. Agreed. Like, why, if I'm talking to the Minnesota Vikings and they say, let's do a trade, and the Cardinals say, no, we like Marvin Harrison Jr., and you just hang up the phone and they call you back, what's we're not here to play the trade chart. The trade chart, we've set it on fire. We've ripped it apart. It's in the recycling bin. We're not interested in seeing that. We have our own chart.
Right.
And it's give us all your picks. Give us your 1 and 2 next year. Give us a 3rd rounder in 2026. Because here's the deal. We talk about this. I don't think enough people talk about this outside this show. You tell them, good luck if you trade with the Chargers. We will screw you. We will call the Giants and we will do a mini trade with them. And you will be in a position where we're going to make it hurt. You instill a sense of urgency and a fear in the people of the great people of the Great Lakes of Minnesota. You make them scared to not give up everything.
That's right. Monty Ossenfort, like Jimmy Johnson, great hair, had a ton of success in this league. You can just crumple up that stupid chart. We're playing a different ball game now. Welcome to the big leagues.
That's right.
I'll take everything. Oh, you're not willing to give up everything? Well, don't even pick up the phone any longer.
Don't even think about calling the Chargers. We know what you're doing. We know what you were going to do before you even do it. We know everything. Charlie, $1.99. Herbert to MHJ going to be generational.
How dare you, Charlie?
How dare you pay $1.99 to say that on this show right now? How dare you, Charlie? It would be, though. He would absolutely cook.
Another thing that would just make me sick. I'm going to be tapping into a lot of time off next year.
Imagine Anthony Totri in the office.
No.
God.
That's one of the main reasons. Josh, $5 super chat. There it is. Thank you, Josh. If you get Jefferson in pick 11 with any combination of picks after, if you take the trade, MHJ doesn't beat that deal.
They're not trading Jefferson.
No.
They're not trading Jordan Addison. They're trading picks. And there's nothing the Cardinals would want on their defense. They're signing like veterans. Their roster is ready to win with a rookie quarterback. Bo, you've outlined that. Like this, it's just going to be a team that they've hit on their draft picks. They have a good front office. They have a good coach. They're middling at quarterback. So
no, we don't ban Charlie.
He's got another super chat in here too.
Yeah, we welcome people to jump in from different fan bases.
Only if they drop a like, though. They can only come in if they drop a like on the page.
Yeah, we'll get to Charlie right now. Let's do it. $4.99 super chat from Charlie. Jim Harbaugh playing 3D chess, propping up JJ so MHJ falls into his lap.
Kind of smart.
Yeah. Nope. Nobody said that Jim Harbaugh is not smart as far as running organizations and especially at the NFL level. I mean, it was we should have thrown a parade when he left the 49ers. What he was doing in San Francisco.
Charlie, would it shock you to know that Jim Harbaugh is a fan of this program? Because he is, and I think he would appreciate the kind words that you're saying. $4.99 super chat. Illa Dre, $4.99. We seen what Kyler did with D-Hop. Imagine him and Marvin Harrison Jr., no brain. Stevie Wonder could see this. Oh, okay. Well, here's what I will say. The Cardinals want to win, and Kyler wants to win a different way. They want to win the Jared Goff way. Running the football, pass protection, play action, under center, Shanahan offense. Now, as you saw this year, you need Debo's and Ayuk's and, Jamison Williams and company in Detroit. But I'm with you. Like, of course, Kyler Murray would put up great numbers with Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah.
I don't think, though, Kyler getting MHJ or not getting him is going to be a deterrent for him having a good season. I think he's going to have a good season regardless.
Yeah, and then they get back to, I think, building the team how they would prefer to build it, and kind of from the trenches out, right?
Yeah.
So once they would take the exception to the rule and Marvin Harrison Jr. at 4th overall, they start to look at the trenches. They look at the defensive front seven. They look at the offensive line. I think that he immediately gets right back to it. Dana Robinson, $2 super chat. We're still going to get to the Arizona Cardinals signing today and Mel Kiper Jr.'s mock draft, which I think a lot of people will appreciate. Dana saying leverage Giants, Broncos, Bears, Chargers more. Who's got the more leverage? I mean, as far as with the kind of creating leverage with the Vikings and some. I'm not sure what the question is there. Do you?
I would say who has the most leverage just in general. I think the Broncos have no leverage. They have no money. They have no picks. They have no future. I think the Chargers have leverage, and the Giants have leverage. I think the Bears are just. I think the Giants probably have the most because they're in a good spot to jump.
Bears in that conditional 6 that they got for Justin Fields, is that leverage?
I'm going to share something real quick.
Yeah, okay.
And we're going to do BetMGM.
Okay.
I'm just going to tease this.
Okay.
It's the equivalent of stalking my ex on social media. Something has transpired that is not good news for Cardinal fans. I think the breadcrumbs right now, something that I just saw. We're going to talk about it here in a second. But before we do that, we're going to talk about BetMGM first bet $1,500 offer. So it's just the money keeps going up. The first money, free money with BetMGM is here, and it's here to stay, folks. Listen, Phoenix Suns have not been playing well. If you want to hedge them, emotional bet, I'm known to do that. You can do that. But all you got to do is sign up with the bonus code PHNX. Download the BetMGM Sportsbook app on your iOS or Android, or check them out, betmgm.com. Sign up and deposit at least $10, 10 bones. So you got to go up $10 into your BetMGM Sportsbook account, place your wager, and receive up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if it loses. So you bet $1,500 and it loses, you're going to get $1,500 back in bonus bets. How about that? If your bet does lose, your bonus bets will be available once your initial wager is settled. So you got $100. You want to put it on the Suns. Suns end up winning. Awesome. You get that payout. If they lose, you get the bonus bets, the equivalent of your bet. But you got to sign up with BetMGM. You got to use the bonus code PHNX. Again, place your first BetMGM Sportsbook wager through BetMGM Sportsbook on the app of at least $10. You're going to get up to $1,500 in bonus bets if it loses. Check out the show notes for full details. And now listen to Shane Diefenbach talk about it in the disclaimer. He's back.
Bonus bets expire in 7 days. One new customer offer only. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Available in the U.S. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY 467-369 New York. Call 1-800-327-5050 Massachusetts. 21 plus only. Please gamble responsibly. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP Arizona. 1-800-BETS-OFF Iowa. 1-800-981-0023 Puerto Rico. First bet offer for new customers only. Subject to eligibility requirements. Bonus bets are non-withdrawable. In partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel. See BetMGM.com for terms. U.S. promotional offers not available in New York, Nevada, North Carolina, Ontario, or Puerto Rico.
That was a mid read from Shane. I like Damon's better. If it was getting seeded in March Madness, it would be a 16 seed, that read. Damon would be the number 1 overall seed. Speaking of March Madness, it tipped off just a few minutes ago in Dayton, and it's not going to stop for the next couple of weeks. And getting in on the madness is our friends over at OG's Brands. We love OG's Brands, of course, Arizona's favorite cannabis kitchen, cooking up all the delicious gummies, and it's gummy madness season. Follow along for 8 competing dispensaries to put gummy versus gummy against each other each week in a bracket to determine the champion. Vote for our favorite gummy, as the winner will receive a buy one, get one free offer. Follow along with who to see who wins. In the East, you got the Mint, you got Zen Leaf, you got Sticky Saguaro. In the West, you got Jars, Ponderosa, Valley of the Sun, The Giving Tree, and AZ Organics. Check them out. OG's has launched a couple new products here in the new year. You got to check it out as well and get the OG's Naturals and the Big OG's, which are huge slices of their delicious gummies that are perforated in 10 delicious 10 milligram of THC slices, 100 milligrams of THC altogether. Learn more about OG's, all their tremendous products, ogsbrands.com. Check them out in all those unbelievable local Valley dispensaries and follow them on your socials at OG's Brands. You got to be 21 years or older.
Show a little bit of class if you would like this video. Again, getting this to 500 likes is the goal. Leave a like. That's me in a good mood when you drop a like. This is my frowny face with something I saw transpire on the Twitter streets. Marvin Harrison Jr., very active on Twitter, as you know. He's been liking a lot of Cardinal-related posts recently. Has that shifted? Dove Kleinman, big fraud on Twitter, Mr. Aggregator himself, posted the Chargers' updated wide receiver depth chart. Josh Palmer, Quentin Johnson. That's all. 3 hours ago, liked by Marvin Harrison Jr. Are we at that point now where Marvin Harrison Jr., hearing through the tea leaves, hearing through, doesn't have an agent, maybe his reps, his people, Chargers are a realistic option? Because, again, you posted this on Twitter today. If you didn't see this, this is very significant. Yesterday, on the sportsbook streets, plus 425 JJ McCarthy to go 4th overall. Marvin was like -3 something. Today, Marvin has moved significantly to -200. Still good odds for the Cardinals. Plus 300 for JJ McCarthy. 125 points. It has dropped in a day. I don't know. It feels like maybe the momentum will die down. The chatter will quiet. I don't see that happening though.
The Chargers or the
Just in general?
No,
Yeah,
I mean, look, if you want
to
read the tea leaves, what's it mean that he liked Montez Sweat saying them Red Lobster biscuits still undefeated?
Well, I mean, who can argue with that? The cheddar baked biscuits, they're elite. I wish I had some right now.
He kind of goes like crazy here. I mean, he's for the one Chargers like that he's had. And sure, it's one of the more recent ones. He's had a ton. He liked the tweet from Adam Schefter talking about the Arizona Cardinals introducing their upgrades to their stadium.
That was yesterday. That's old news. What's happened in the day since that happened, Bo Brock?
I mean, the momentum continues to I guess gain some steam that the Vikings can move up the draft board potentially.
Let's get back to some of these super chats. The 90s Poppy, $1.99. The Vikings trade isn't worth it. We already have 2 firsts. I think a lot of Cardinal fans would agree with you. Like, how many picks do you really need? My pushback to that would be, as much as I believe in my heart of hearts, Bo, Gannon and company overachieved with this roster last year. They were way more competitive than people think. Their roster still has a lot of holes. I mean, they're putting some nice bridge players in free agency, maybe one or two pop. We're going to talk about a potential guard signing today. They still need, I mean, who are the stars on this team? Kyler Murray, James Conner, who's an old running back, Trey McBride, Budda Baker, and maybe Jalen Thompson.
Yeah.
That's it.
And emerging is Paris Johnson Jr.
And 3 of those 5 players play non-premium positions, safeties and running backs, and tight end.
Yeah, so, I mean, I think that's why you look at this class and you look at the haul you could get in return, and you say, hey, you could infuse this roster even more so with talent. Tommy Felix, $2 super chat. How does the 2025 draft class look? I mean, quarterback class, not impressive. I was talking with Damon, was it you and I today, talking about Quinn Ewers, Shadir Sanders, and the kid from Georgia as the top quarterback prospects.
Broncos fans going to be talking themselves into Shadir all season long.
Yeah. Good luck with that. And the kid from KU, right? Kansas, they have a decent quarterback.
Jalen Daniels, yeah, he's good. I don't know.
Ohio State's team's loaded. They're going to have like 6-7 first rounders. Ohio State's team, they're good. Yeah, they got a bunch of transfers coming in.
But the quarterback that transferred from
Kansas State,
I mean, does nothing for it. Like, somebody's gonna have to emerge.
I think Tommy just means in general. Yeah, it's not as good as this year. I know that. This year's better than
tackle class, wide receiver class this year. Like, it's inevitably gonna it's gonna drop off. Dan T. Johnny's
such a whiner. What am I whining about?
Could use the $2. Dan Robinson, whatever. Dan Robinson, $5. I was too cheap. LOL. I mean, we have the leverage on the Vikings. Got it. Okay, so he's following up because there are plenty of teams that might want to trade up. We don't have to trade. Absolutely.
They're in the catbird seat. Now, here's an interesting point. Dana, that somebody brought up today that I don't think it's been posed. Like,
Could
the Vikings
biscuits are still undefeated?
Yeah, it's true. How about this? What if the Vikings weren't done moving up? What if the Vikings could either get up higher from 23 or higher from 11? Now, it'd be tough from 11 because teams are locked into these premium prospects. What if the Vikings could go from like 23 to like 18, 17, 16 range? Would that make Cardinal fans feel better? Like if they traded a future pick and got up even higher? Because I do think there is something to be said about Cardinals have been scorned by a future one this year, where it is. Teams don't love next year's draft. It's not a quarterback rich draft. Like, could they take 23 and their 2025 first rounder and try to get up even higher? Is that something that you think it's like an NBA trade? It's like a 3-team deal. Like, go up and with somebody else. Would you feel more comfortable with that?
No, because this is such a strong class. I mean, I don't think that it doesn't sweeten the pot that much more. I mean, you can see the Vikings working if they want to do that, but it's still like, as far as try to differentiate between the prospects in this draft, I think it's so close that you could stay at 23 and you should be able to find somebody that you want in that area that's going to be a rock solid prospect and an immediate starter, impact maker.
I just let's bring up the Denver Broncos, for instance.
Yeah.
That team is blowing it up. Maybe they want Shedeur Sanders. Like, they're just going to tank this year. They're going to try to strip it down. What if the Vikings went 23 and next year's 1 to like the Broncos at 12, and they came and said, here's 11 and 12? Would you take that outright for pick 4? Or is that still not enough?
No, yeah. I don't think it's enough. I mean, because this draft, the strength of it is in the top 10, and it might trickle outside the top 10, but you're still looking at, and you've got 2003 vibes with it, 17 and 18, Brian Johnson and Calvin Pace, that gives Cardinals fans the heebie-jeebies.
People are saying no. I'm just posing stuff because I think it's smarter. I think it would be smarter of the Vikings to continue to try to come up this year to try to sweeten the pot. Because I'm going to be honest, with each passing day, that 2025 1 means nothing to me. It's basically like a Kleenex. I blow my nose with it. Purple Ghost, $5 super chat. Imagine Cards take a QB at 4. Now that's a rebuild. MHJ all the way. How dare you, Purple Ghost? We have our franchise quarterback. His name is Kyler Murray. He is elite, and he's going to be throwing passes, hopefully, to one MHJ this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the Vikings are trying to talk themselves into JJ McCarthy potentially and giving away historic draft capital in order to do so. Logan Little, $1.99 super chat. Thank you so much. Gonna be a gut punch with no MHJ. We've wanted him. Absolutely. We've been pounding the table. We've been dreaming, looking at all the jersey swaps, everything. And I never really let myself go to that place every time.
You didn't?
No, I mean,
I've gone to that place many times. I've been there in my dreams. Excuse me. Pause.
Yeah. I never did, because it seems too good to be true, and that's because that there are teams that can ruin it, that can still have the ability to get up the draft board, and realizing where the Cardinals are as an organization. Let's fool ourselves. This is year 2 of the rebuild. They're not just a Marvin Harrison Jr. way.
Cardinals are ruining it if they're doing it. I got to get a calculator for this next one. Andrew, $2. Here's a 3-way. I'm into it. AZ gets 5 and 23. LA gets 11 and 27, and plus a future 1. Yeah. Minnesota gets 4. So 5 and 23. LA gets 11, 27, and a future 1. Minnesota gets 4.
I'm doing that deal.
Well, because you're getting Marvin then.
Yeah.
That's pretty good, Andrew. Should we get Andrew in touch with the GM for the Vikings and Monty Ossenfort? Andrew, well done.
When was the last time they did? Can you even do that in the NFL?
I don't know.
A 3-way deal? Or would it just be in principle?
The Chargers want to trade down. Benjamin Albright's been on this show. He's been on Twitter. That they've made that clear. They have no good, like their roster's old and they need new players. I think that's pretty good. Can we do that? I wouldn't. Could you imagine getting Marvin and another first rounder?
Well, you just move up 4 spots.
No. You're gonna get. Oh, because you're giving up 27.
You go down 1.
Sorry. Yeah.
You go from 4 to 5, but then you go up from 27 to 23. I still do it.
Charlie's back. We love Charlie here in the chat. He's a respectful Vikings or a Charger fan. $1.99 back to back. So we'll answer them both. Does the trade happen before or during the draft? I think if it happens with the Cardinals, it happens before the draft. I think if it happens with the Chargers, they have to be on the clock.
What's next week? Do you know what next week is? When am I traveling east?
Tell the people what you're doing.
I'm going to the league meetings next week. It's in Orlando. It's where, the NFL world, it goes. Last year it was at the Biltmore here in Phoenix, where you've got ownership, you've got front office execs, and you've got head coaches along with brass from around the NFL, and they're just talking shop for 3 to 4 days, and they're going to get a nice ritzy resort in Orlando. If a deal is going to materialize, most likely it's going to be next week when they're all in person together.
When you're also there in the room.
I will be there. I'll be there when Jonathan Gannon speaks a week from today, right? Is it Tuesday the 26th? I'm going to fly overnight from Phoenix to Orlando, get an Uber or Lyft, whatever's cheaper, get to the resort, talk to JG, and then get back for the show that afternoon. But we'll be
You're going to be on the show that afternoon in Arizona. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's a company man giving us the insight we crave. Charlie, backing it up, another super chat. What percentage do you give Arizona Minnesota trade? I'm up in my percentage from where I was on our audio only podcast, which I think I was 75-25.
I'll go. They would take Marvin. It was the same.
Yeah. I would say I think Minnesota's 100% trading up. So let me make that clear. With the Cardinals, 35%.
So you're up 5%.
Yeah.
Or 10%, right? You were at 75-25.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. It's quickly approaching 60-40.
That's crazy. That's nuts.
What are you talking about? You just put it at 35%.
I know, but I'm just contextualizing it from like, I think it also speaks to like the rise of JJ McCarthy and his jawline, 20-year-old, phenom from Michigan, where he looked pretty mid at times. Like that's nuts too. You're talking yourself into him, but we saw it with Anthony Richardson last year.
But the price at the end of the day has to be right for Monty Ossenfort. Like he's not just fielding calls. It's not like last year where he's going to take the best package to trade down. Like the price has to be right. And he's in a position where he gets this top tier talent and Marvin Harrison Jr. bolsters their offense, or he trades down for a historic haul of picks.
We're going to get back to these super chats here, but first I want to tell everybody about Circle K. They've got the package I'm always looking for. It's called Hello Cheap Gas. Save up to 25 cents per gallon on my first 5 fill-ups when you become a member of the Inner Circle, Bo. Save 3 cents per gallon every single day. Circle K, of course, America's thirst stop. They've got the new free membership program. I got a Circle K right down the street. It is my go-to. Every 6 free selection on things like pizza, coffee, ice cold fountain drinks, and more. A one-stop shop. When I'm freaking out over Marvin Harrison Jr. potential trade offers, trading down, you know what I do? I go relax. I pick up some za from Circle K, maybe a slushie, and I relax. And I say, it's gonna work out because I'm a member of the Inner Circle. You should be too. Join the Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. I'm a member. Bo, Damon Dog. How about Michael Wilson, Arizona Cardinal receiver? He's a member. Terms and conditions apply. At participating locations, visit CircleK.com for more details, Bo.
I love the Inner Circle. It's a great app. Continue to get more great stuff off of it. Also, speaking of more great stuff, our friends over at Legal Pete's, they're getting in on 'tis the season, right, for March Madness. And before March Madness officially begins, and you got the play-in games tonight and tomorrow, Thursday, before then, you're going to want to join PHNX and a Legal Pete's Bracket Challenge for free. It's free to sign up, but the prizes, they're very real. The prizes for top 3 finishes include a diehard membership, like our guy Tom and Daniel became recently here for PHNX Cardinals, a shirt, a gift card to the PHNX locker, and illegal Pete's gift cards. Check our socials for a link to sign up. And then once you're done doing that, patio season is officially here. Sun is out, shining. It's beautiful. It's warmed up. Go out there and get some patio beers. Get that or Illegal Pete's Margarita. It's the strongest in Arizona. It's irresistible drinks, mouth-watering food that will fill your heart's desires. You get the full menu. You got bowls. You got tacos. You got burritos. You've got salads. You've got nachos. You get the full bars with the custom cocktails and piping hot queso. Don't miss out on Illegal Pete's. It's going to bring you their legendary sound check deal as well. Check in on that with more details. Illegal Pete's, your go-to spot for burritos, buddies, and beer.
Cardinals signed a potential starting offensive lineman today. We're going to get to that here in a second. But first, David in the chat, $5. People are worried about nothing. Vikes going for JJ. They know we want MHJ. If anything, they'll trade with the Chargers, who need to rebuild on the day of the draft. That, I mean, very possible, but it would have to be on the clock. Like, the Cardinals would have to make the pick for Marvin, and then they would have to say, Chargers, let's do a deal. And then hope that, I mean, here's the reality, David. If the Cardinals and the Chargers love Marvin, they love Malik Neighbors, and they have the opportunity to use the Giants as leverage against the Vikings are in trouble. The Vikings' best course of action at the end of the day is to secure the 4th overall pick pre-draft to be able to get Drake May or JJ McCarthy.
Yeah.
That's their best course of action. Could you imagine if they went up and got 23 only to have it bust in their face with the Giants getting the 6th pick or the 5th pick or the 4th pick for JJ McCarthy? That's the Giants are the Cardinals' best friend right now, because we know that both the Cardinals and the Chargers need receivers, and the two of the best are, of course, Marvin, number 1, and Malik Neighbors right behind him.
Yeah, I mean, the Chargers, I don't think they would have to command, or they will command as much as the Cardinals, because they are sitting in a position to get this type of talent 4th overall. In the Chargers, I mean, if they trade down 11, they could get somebody like Fuaga, add them out of Oregon State to their offensive line, and they'd be sitting in a good spot, 23rd overall, to start to rebuild that wide receiver room that was pointed out, probably by somebody that Dobbs stole it from. Richard jumping in with a $1.99 super chat. Thank you so much, Richard. Now he's getting us back on track. What if BJ Ojulari doesn't want to give up number 18 for Marvin Harrison Jr.? Let's talk about problems with Marvin Harrison Jr. on the Cardinals roster and being drafted in their organization. That's what I'm talking about.
Listen, I like BJ Ojulari. You just say, hey, BJ, we need to take one for the team. I'd be like, hey, BJ, number 9's open. Isaiah Simmons busted hard. Take number 9, have a single digit. We'll be in good shape. I don't think, BJ Ojulari, did he wear 18 at LSU? I can't remember, but
I think he wore a couple different numbers. I think he wore.
You know how I feel about Marvin's number.
Yeah,
you know what I think he should wear.
A bad take.
That's rude.
You want him to wear 11?
I think it'd be pretty special. What if at his opening presser he had 11 and he was holding it up, and then Fitz was in the crowd and he was just doing this? It's just like passing the baton, and I get emotional thinking about that. It's just like, there's Larry, and he's just doing this. Marvin Harrison Sr.'s there, and it's just, everybody knows, right? I love it.
Unless there's a golf course nearby in Tempe, I don't think Larry's stopping by the presser. I haven't seen him around the organization in a long time.
Oh, I think, and I'm not fooling around here, if they draft Marvin, Larry will be around.
You think so? He's going to be in one of those casitas? One of those
they're going to do something of the passing of the baton, very like highlighting Marvin. He told Cam Cox at Channel 12, like he Marvin would be a great player for the Arizona Cardinals. It's out there. People, I would shed a single tear. I'd probably be bawling my eyes out. I'd be like, sir, get out of here. This is unprofessional.
We got a question up here in the second row.
Larry, how do you feel right now? I'm super emotional.
It's so beautiful. That's not a question. Get out of here. Somebody escort this fool out of here.
It's like, Johnny, I've lost all respect for you. The last little bit of respect I have for you, it's gone.
You don't eat your steak. You leave 80% of it on your plate, and you're crying in a press conference.
I'm like, excuse me, I have a question. They said, yes, sir. And I just go like this. On my chest. It's right here in the fields. Marvin's like, get this fucking guy out of here. David, $2 super chat. Big difference between MHJ and Malik, and that's about 4 inches. Thank you, David. Absolutely, unequivocally. Malik Neighbors is a great prospect. He plays bigger than he is.
Yeah.
He got some Jamar Chase in him. Marvin is 6'4". Mike Evans is 6'5".
Heisman winner. Have you watched the tape? Have you watched Malik Neighbors' tape? I think it's closer than you all are making it out to be. I think he might be wide receiver 1. He had the Heisman Trophy winner throwing him the football.
He also had another first
Marvin
round
had Kyle McCord, who's playing football at Syracuse next year. He got cast off to Syracuse. He was so bad at throwing the football. What's the next?
Hospital balls. Almost took him out against Notre Dame. Remember that?
Yeah.
Almost threw up my dinner that night. I was watching it at a bar, and I'm like, what just happened? Topic 64, friend of the program, $4.99. MHJ, Brendan Rice would be the way to go in our drafts.
Yeah.
Those are why those casitas are being built.
Let's talk about Mel Kiper Jr.'s draft real quick.
Okay.
Because we had to endure Daniel Jeremiah. I think he took a lot of L's today, especially in the Cardinals fan base. Mel Kiper Jr., he knows how to play the hits. He's Billy Joel up there, and he's sitting down. He's playing piano man right off the bat for Cardinals fans out here. He's got Cardinals taking Marvin Harrison Jr. 4th overall, and then 27th overall, he's taking the edge, the pass rusher out of Penn State, Chop Robinson. I don't really have a big issue with this draft, especially with how Cardinals have navigated free agency, Johnny. They haven't done anything to the pass rush group. I know we talked about, some offensive linemen, but here I think you do want to add another premium position, get that 5th-year option at this pass rush position.
Well, what are the 2 positions the Cardinals have not targeted in free agency? It's receiver and it's edge rusher. And I think increasingly likely that 2 of their first 3 are going to go this direction. What have they done? They've targeted a bunch of solid defensive linemen in preparation to maybe draft a developmental guy. They signed a starting caliber guard today, center guard, depth player. We're going to talk about that here in a second. They signed a starting tackle, either left or right, in Jonah Williams. Chop Robinson comes in and starts immediately opposite B.J. Ojulari. Zaven Collins becomes a rotational player. And then, of course, we know what Marvin brings is your number 1 wide receiver, X player. So I think this would be best case scenario. I like Chop Robinson a lot. I like him during draft season a lot. I would be a little bit concerned in the uber average Big Ten with the quarterback play being pretty meh. Where's the production? But again, this is about projecting to the next level. And if they project him to be a double-digit sack artist, explosive, I feel good about that. Now, the counterpoint again is Latu's got the production, doesn't test as well as Chop Robinson. So, but listen, this is first world problems.
Mm-hmm.
You get this draft, 99% of Cardinal fans would sign up for this tomorrow, and then you could go 35 and just say best available offensive or defensive lineman. You'd be in a really good spot.
Yeah, great. Tip of the hat to the NFL draft analyst legend Mel Kiper Jr.
who has not wavered on Marvin to the Cardinals at all this entire time.
He hasn't. So you love to see it. Should we talk about real quick Empire Today before we get into who the Cardinals signed today? I'll talk about Empire Today because I love what they're doing. It's your number 1 stop, your only stop for all your flooring needs. I mean, Empire Today, carpeting, flooring. Check out empiretoday.com/PHNX to find your way to $350 off new floors. You're not going to go into their store or you're not going to talk to somebody online at empiretoday.com who isn't an absolute expert, who's not the Mel Kiper Jr. of your flooring needs. It's going to be somebody that's dialed in. It's not going to be somebody that was working at Jack in the Box and was laid off last week and just fell into selling flooring gig. Check out what's going on. Empire Today is going to make it quick, easy, convenient for your flooring needs, and they're going to do that price match guarantee. So you can go shop it elsewhere, but you're always going to come back to Empire Today, who's going to price match, and they're going to make it the quickest, the easiest, most convenient way for you to upgrade your flooring, and you can save $350 right now by going to the website, empiretoday.com/PHNX, and using the promo code PHNX for your flooring needs at empiretoday.com.
Yeah, that mock draft from Mel Kiper Jr. was money. And you know what else is money? Our friends at Desert Financial Credit Union, the official credit union of the Arizona Cardinals for more than 84 years. Desert Financial has been Arizona's largest, most trusted local credit union. They've been taking care of my family. They're the official credit union of PHNX Sports. Now they're here for you. They're creating exceptional experiences by giving back to this community. They got locations all over the valley, and they're providing financial solutions that frankly make life better. Easy way. ATMs everywhere, locations everywhere for you to get taken care of. And it goes beyond that, folks. Look for Desert Financial for checking, savings accounts, mortgages, loans, credit card investment options, and more. They've got financial experts who are committed to their members and the community, and they're offering financial solutions that are really tailored, Bo, to help real people achieve their financial goals and dreams. And the best part about it, they can rep the Arizona Cardinals with you every time you use your debit card. Represent the Red Sea with the Arizona Cardinal Visa debit card. Show your team spirit. Open up a free checking account online. It takes a matter of minutes. It took me like 10 minutes to sign up for my free checking account. I got my Arizona Cardinal Visa debit card in the mail shortly afterwards, just a couple days, and then it's plug and play, baby, ready to get started. But you got to check them out, desertfinancial.com/Cardinals, Bo, to get started today.
Yeah, I want to pay off the show tease as far as and create a trade package before we get out of here. And I know it's late, and we appreciate all 570 plus people sticking around with us for this entire show. Make sure you hit like. I think we just went over 200 likes for the show. Want to get this up 400, 500 likes. Really appreciate everybody tuning in and commenting in the chat, your super chats. We're so grateful for that. But the Arizona Cardinals, they added to the offensive line today. They brought in Evan Brown from the Detroit Lions. He's got versatility on the interior of the offensive line. He's played some guard. He also was a center.
He's a really good quarterback last year, apparently. Almost 3,000 passing yards from Evan Brown.
We got that on there. Bad. Jared Goff was able to dial it up pretty well with Evan Brown being a part of that offensive line in Detroit. 27 years old. He'll be 28 in September. He played close to 1,000 snaps, gave up 3 sacks. You look at his PFF grade, it's around 55. It's just like a lot of these free agent additions, not going to blow you away with the PFF grade, but durable. And then look at the contract. 1 year he's going to make around $2.35 million. And then just take an inventory here, Johnny. This is who the Arizona Cardinals have added this offseason. Sean Murphy-Bunting at the corner position, 2 guys on the defensive line, and Bilal Nichols and Justin Jones. You got a potential inside linebacker who has the ability to come off the edge, and Mac Wilson, special teamer, depth to the running back room, DJ Dallas. You got potentially starting tackle. You do have a starting tackle in Jonah Williams, backup quarterback, potentially with Desmond Ridder, Chris Moore, who's going to play teams and also add to the wide receiver room, Karis Tunga, who could be your starting nose tackle, start the season from Minnesota, and most recently, Evan Brown, who adds depth and, as you said, could vie for a starting role this fall.
So I think Evan Brown is your starting left guard unless the Cardinals take a guard high in the draft, and he still could be your starting left guard to open up the season. So he started all 16, 17 games last year for the Seattle Seahawks at center, was really kind of thrust there out of necessity for Seattle. But I want to wind the clocks back 2 years. Now, this kid's only 27 years old. In 2022, he played out of 768 snaps, over 700 at right guard. Okay, he was a right guard in 2022, had his best year according to PFF. Now, his pass blocking grade wasn't great. Run blocking grade of almost 70, overall grade 64.8. He's just 1 year removed from that. So does anybody remember what the Detroit Lions did in 2022? As robust as their rushing game was this year, the Detroit Lions in 2022 had a 1,000-yard rusher in Jamal Williams that had 17 touchdowns, 17 rushing touchdowns. This guy started almost every game for them. DeAndre Swift added 5 touchdowns and 542 yards. Who does this sound like? This sounds like another Yelder Froholt type that you absolutely feel comfortable. I mean, this guy's going to start over Elijah Wilkinson. Absolutely, he would start. He's been starting for 2 years in the NFL on teams that have winning records. The Seahawks last year won 9 games. The Lions the year before that won 9 games and had high-performing offenses. So I think this is great. And you know what? If they sign Jackson Powers-Johnson or they draft him or they get Drake Barton out of Duke, this guy becomes your 6th offensive lineman. The Cardinals are shaping up. If they can get a top tackle or guard, either in the top 11, 23, or 27, or whatever it is, 35, this is the best offensive line they've had in 10, 20 years. I'm ready to go on a limb on that.
Yeah.
I think Jonah Williams has a chip on his shoulder. I think Yelder Froholt is the best center the Cardinals have had unequivocally since Lyle Sendline. Paris Johnson Jr. is going to give you Pro Bowl caliber play. And you add this much depth of guys that are not street free agents, aren't 7th round picks, that have starting experience for seasons. Why would this guy come to Arizona for that little amount of money? He's been a starting caliber offensive lineman on 2 good teams the last 2 years. Detroit especially. It's because he's coming here to compete and he's coming here to win a job. And that's exactly what Yelder Froholt did last year.
And that's why you have to appreciate a GM like Monty Ossenfort, who can evaluate the position. It's something that was one of his strengths, and how it's going to fit in the offensive scheme that Drew Petzing has in place. It's a great, like, how he can marry those two things together, and he can find the beginning of week 2 of free agency somebody that can make an impact. And if it's not Yelder Froholt, he can be a Will Hernandez type on that left side, and you'll take either one of those guys, tough, hard-nosed guy that is nasty in the run game, and that's exactly what the Arizona Cardinals want to do. And when you're not as well-versed or as talented in pass pro, when you have the threat of running like the Arizona Cardinals had with James Conner and the way that they positioned themselves with the offensive line, it makes it easier when you're dropping back and, there's that conflict with the defense not knowing what's coming their way.
Let's talk about that potential package. But before we do, we got a package for everybody. How about a package at Gila River Resorts and Casinos for the premier draft party of the year, April 24th? It's the PHNX Cardinals draft party. Get your tickets now, not yesterday, not tomorrow, right now, April 25th, at 4 p.m. Gila River Resorts and Casinos, your premier casino here in the Valley. 21 and up. Your ticket is going to get you all you can eat and all you can drink, and the vibes are immaculate. Bo and I, Damon Dog, Saul Bookman, Britton Golden, everybody's going to be there hanging out to celebrate the first round of the 2024 NFL Draft. It kicks off our coverage wall to wall. This show will be live, as it has been the last 2 years, for the entirety of the first, second, and third round. We'll have day 3 coverage, but it all accumulates potentially with the drafting of Marvin Harrison Jr. April 25th at 4 p.m. Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Bo, you do not want to miss this.
No, you don't. And you don't want to miss this. We're going to finally pay it off. What we talked about, debated, conversated over in the entire first segment of the show, nearly a half hour, 40 minutes of Johnny and I going back and forth, the trade package potentially for the Arizona Cardinals to trade down with the Minnesota Vikings. Johnny, what's it going to take for you? We saw what Daniel Jeremiah, what he projected, and we kind of just cast it off. It's not nearly enough. That's what he's using as the Jimmy Johnson baseline. It's the trade chart. He's saying it would be 11 and 23, and the Cardinals would give, along with 4, a 3rd round pick and a 5th round pick. Get out of here with that. What's it going to take in your opinion?
With the Minnesota Vikings, if I wake up tomorrow and the trade is done, I'm always going to feel a sense of despair if Marvin Harrison Jr. is not a Cardinal. And there's no amount of first-round picks that can make me feel good about that. Again, there's going to be a mourning period on this show if the Cardinals sell their soul and give the rights away for MHJ. So I'm putting that disclaimer on this because we know we're going to get pushback. But if Monty Ossenfort wheels and deals like he has before, the minimum for this podcast host is pick 11, pick 23, a 2025 first round pick, and probably a 2025 third round pick. 3 ones and a sweetener, a 3rd rounder. And that sweetener comes in the form of, hey, we're talking to the Giants. That I'm trying to also be realistic. Of course, I would want their 2nd next year, but I'm not sure they would do that. I would go 3 ones, 2 this year, 1 next year, and a 2025 third rounders from the Minnesota Vikings.
You could, I was going to say a 4th in that spot, and you might even have to sweeten it up on your end and throw a day, late day 3 pick or day 2 pick or a day 3 pick in there. But that's, I think, where you really have to start the negotiations, because going off of last year where you got 12, 33 of future first and a future third for a trade up for an outside linebacker. The quarterback tax comes into play, and it comes into play where I think things look pretty equal to where last year. So you got to sweeten it up a little bit with, it being legitimately three firsts. I apologize. 3 firsts with 11-23 in the 2025 first.
Again, there's going to be no scenario in which we're going to be celebrating a trade down in real time.
Right.
But what you just have to hope for, and you have to have long-term vision, just like the Cardinals did this year in a rebuilding year, that come April 24th and 25th, 26th, that Monty Ossenford is going to go to bat for this franchise and find you impact players, notable impact players from college football that are going to help this team winning record, playoff burst, not just for 2024, but beyond. Cornerstone players, not rotational players, not off-ball linebackers, not non-premium positions. Find the next Darnell Dockett, Calais Campbell, Carlos Dansby, those kind of players, the impact that those players had on the franchise. That's what the Cardinals need to do. Patrick Petersons of the world, Adrian Wilson. It's time to find the next crop of those players. And if you're selling me on that, on passing on Marvin Harrison Jr., the package has to be 3 1s plus a sweetener. And I will be content with that. I will understand it. We'll turn on the mics and it'll make sense to me. But anything less than that, we're coming after our bald-headed friend, the general manager of the Cardinals, Monty Ossenford.
We'll do away with Monty mock drafts. We'll retire our bald caps. And we ain't wearing those any longer. Not with pride, that's for sure. We wear a lot of pride with this show, where it's been the last couple of days since free agency began. Blown away with how many people are interested in what's going on with this team, being a part of this community. The chat continues on in the exclusive member Discord. You got to sign up to become a diehard today to get access to that. You can do that. Go PHNX.com while you're on the website. Get your tickets. You don't have to be a diehard to get tickets to that draft party. You're going to want to be there regardless of what happens. It's going to be an electric atmosphere that everybody's going to remember this pivotal draft for Jonathan Gannon, Monty Ossenford, Kyler Murray, and the Cardinals crew. Do it with us. Be there with us when the moment goes down. Real quick super chat here, Johnny. $2 super chat. 03 with Pace and Bryant. Shake my head. Could have had Suggs. Yep.
Yeah.
I keep hearing that.
Gravity Z21 brings up what a lot of people, and sometimes more is not more.
Yeah.
Sometimes more is less, especially when there's a proven talent that's championing to come to your franchise. Like, Cardinal fans have embraced Marvin Harrison Jr. just like he's embraced them. And for the organization that hasn't either the position, that are going to be in position to draft him, to pivot from that, the ramifications will be great. So they need to be prepared for not only that, but also what are you going to do with those picks, making the most of those picks if they come your way. This is treacherous waters. It's major franchise decisions that will inevitably, I think, shape Monty Ossenford and Jonathan Gannon's tenure here in Arizona.
Yeah. Make sure to hit that like button on this video. Subscribe to PHNX Sports. And if you're listening on podcast, make sure subscribe so you don't miss an episode. Leave a rating. Leave a review for Johnny and myself and Damon Dog. Appreciate each and every one of you out there. Any breaking news, of course, we'll be back on these airwaves. But if nothing happens between now and then, we're back at you tomorrow with a fresh 4:30 episode of PHNX Cardinals. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. We'll talk to you then.
We all silly like the mayor.